Hello my dear viewers, welcome to my channel Agriculture with Sami once again. And in this video we are going to learn about one of the most important topics. And this is related to soil science and agronomy or agriculture. And most importantly we are going to cover the syllabus of Odisha's Agriculture Assistant Agriculture Officer 2021 and 22 syllabus. So this topic that we are discussing is a part of the syllabus of Assistant Agriculture Officer conducted by Odisha Public Service Commission 21 and 22. So this is for all those candidates applied who have applied for these exams of Assistant Agriculture Officer of OPSC. So let's learn about problematic soils. So it's in the soil section, soil question. It comes under the soil section or soil studies of the syllabus of AAO, and we are going to study about the problematic soils. So what are these problematic soils? How these are formed? What are these causes? And what are the solutions? How to reclaim these problem soils? And what are the different types of problem soils that generally is seen in different parts of our country? So right, we are starting from what is a problem soil. Like problem soils, or we can write problem soils or problematic soils. Okay. So coming to the definition part, there occurs some MCQs where it is asked like a definition is being given and it is asked what it is called. So let's remember like a problematic soil is there's a common definition like problematic soil is something like which is uneconomical, which is not economical, which is not economical. Problematic soils is like which is not economical for crop cultivations, which is not economical for crop cultivations. So what do we mean by not economical? Like there are certain problems due to which the soils are not good for better cultivations or better output or better yield of crops. We cannot cultivate crops, or we have to go for particular selections or some reclamation processes in the soil to cultivate crops. So problem soils, the definition is these are soils which are not economical for crop productions. So this problem is problem soils. This includes different types of problems like, so this is the definition. Okay. So problem soils includes different problems like there may be physical problems, there may be physical problems. Okay. There may be chemical problems, there may be chemical problems, or there may be biological problems, or there may be biological problems. So when the problems are seen in soil, so these problems are generally divided into physical, chemical and biological problems. So it makes us why it is divided is it helps us in identifying and the particular problem and getting a particular remedial or solution for that problem. So we'll discuss about physical and chemical problems in this part of video, and in the part 2 of video we'll be discussing about biological problems. So coming to the physical problems, what are the physical problems in the soil that we observe that can be physically absorbed or observed? Like physical problems can be, one is it may be semi-permeable, or impermeable soils. Okay, so this is the first problem under physical problems. And coming to the second, there may be hard surface crust. Okay, and coming to the third, that may be subsurface hard pan. hard pen. Okay, subsurface hard pen. And fourth may be fluffy, fluffy, fluffy soils. Okay, fluffy soils. Or fifth may be shallow, shallow soils. Okay, so these are certain physical problems. So under physical problems, we are getting one is semi-permeable, one is hard surface, one is subsurface, one is fluffy, and one is shallow. Okay. So semi-permeable or impermeable soils, like semi-permeable or impermeable. Semi-permeable is like the medium soil that allows a particular material and that doesn't allow a particular material. So that is semi-permeable. And impermeable is something like it doesn't allow any water or nutrients into the soil. So why? What is the reason behind? What is the reason behind being semi-permeable or impermeable soils? So the reason. So the reason is higher clay content. Higher clay content. Okay, and it may be due to more infiltrations. More infiltration rates, okay, poor aeration, like the poor aeration resembles like the exchange of air or exchange of air in the soil decreases, less aeration, more infiltration rates and more clay content. So if the clay content is more, the porosity is more, the water gets filled sometimes or the nutrients get accumulated more, and the soils become impermeable or semi-permeable to certain nutrients or certain water or certain minerals, so that these show some physical problems. And coming to the hard surface crust, we can say, like, why is the hard surface crust formed? So this hard surface crust is formed. The reason behind it is due to the accumulation and higher concentration. It is due to the accumulation and higher concentration of aluminium and iron ions. Okay, so in the soil surface, when the accumulation of aluminium and iron increases, it causes the hard surface crust, or in the wet conditions, these get accumulated. Okay, these get accumulated and dries to form hard layer when dried. Okay, so when the soil is in the wet conditions, the aluminium and ions get accumulated, and when the soil dries up, it forms hard surfaces on the soil's crust. Crust is the uppermost portion of the soil. So this is a hard surface crust is a physical problem of the soil. Coming to the subsurface hard pen. So what is this subsurface hard pen? Subsurface hard pen is the clay that is above the crust, like in the uppermost part of the soil, clay content gets inside the sublayer of soil, and due to Al and Fe ions, it gets cemented. So in subsurface hard pen, this is a physical problem, and this is due to the clay content. It sometimes gets into the subsurface layer or some horizon of the soil profile, and in that subsurface, when the aluminium and ions they act on it, it cements the clay content and it makes hard. So sometimes, like, the plowing methods are also a reason behind it, like deep plowing or plowing below the aerial zone. Plowing below the aerial zone is also a problem. It creates subsurface hard pans in the soil. And coming to the fourth one, Fourth one, what we see is fluffy soils. Fluffy soils. Fluffy soils. Fluffy soils. These fluffy soils are due to mostly rice intensification or rice cultivation process. Okay, so when continuously rice or a particular crop is being cultivated in that land, in a piece of land, the fluffiness of the soil particles become fluffed, and the porosity increases, like it forms the mechanical strength decreases. Here, the mechanical strength of soil, decreases. So due to increase in fluffiness, the mechanical strength, it so the sometimes the soil couldn't give proper anchorage to the different crops, and it's due to the increase in fluffiness or decrease in the mechanical strength of the soil. So these are the main reasons, physical problems related, which comes under the different problem soils. Okay. And one more what we see is shallow soils. Okay, shallow soils. So what do we mean by shallow? Shallow is it is due to the parent material. Sometimes the parent material lies just below the soil surface. Okay, due to the presence of parent material, just below the soil surface. So sometimes what happens is there occurs some parent materials or certain rocks that are found just below the soil surface, and it distracts, or it is a physical problem, and it restricts the root growth, and it restricts the plant growth sometimes. So these are the physical problems which are related to problem soils. So now let's see, like if there are physical problems, in the soil, so how these physical problems can be overcome. So there are certain solutions for these physical problems. So what are the solutions or recommendations? What are the recommendations or solutions or solutions for physical problems in soil? Physical soil problems. So, what are the recommendations? So, the first and foremost recommendation is addition, or incorporation, incorporation of organic materials into soil, like FYM, uh, vermicompost, vermicompost, coir pith, okay, etc. So when we add certain amount of organic material, sometimes we get overcome the physical problems that generally is observed in the soils. And the next solution can be region furrow system, ridge and region furrow system. So this region furrow system is generally, it provides more aeration capacity. The aeration capacity of soil increases. So aeration capacity of soil increases with region furrow system. Or we can, or if it is a hard crust. Okay. So hard crust. If it is in hard crust, then we can go for bold seeded grains. We can go for bold seeded grains. Or if it is if for small vegetables, we can go for small seeded grains. Okay, small seeded grains for small vegetables. Okay, vegetable crops. If we are going for vegetable crops in having physical problems, soils having physical problems, We can go for bold shaded greens if the crust is hard, and we can also go for seeding for small vegetable crops. And one more is resistant crops. Okay, so there are some crops like, example we can say cowpea. Okay, cowpea is a resistant crop. We can go for certain resistance crops which can overcome or which can sustain some physical problems. Okay, and now we can also go for some other remedial methods, like we can also go for certain mechanical measures to overcome these physical soil problems, like plowing, maybe plowing, or it may be some different cropping systems, okay, different cropping systems. So these are certain problems that we can solutions that we can go for recommendations or solutions for physical. So now let's discuss about the chemical problems. So soils, as we discussed, it has physical problems. Soils also has some chemical problems in it. So let's discuss one by one chemical problems. Okay, chemical problems. Okay, chemical problems in soil. Okay, so what are the chemical problems in soils? Like the chemical problem, the first one is saline soils. So this is most discussed, like whenever we think like only the coastal region of the country has saline soils. It is true, but there are also certain regions or condition areas in our country where we find the saline content in the soil to be very high. So this saline soil or concentration is due to the accumulation. The reason is the accumulation of calcium, magnesium, potassium, or sulfate. Okay, sulfate and carbonate and bicarbonate ions. It is due to the accumulation of carbonate. These all ions are responsible for the formation of saline soils in a particular area. So this saline soil is again divided into two types. So one is we can say saline soils. Okay, saline soils general, or we can say one more is alkaline or sodic soils, alkaline or sodic soils, and one is saline soil. So what is this a saline soil? What is the difference? The difference is there is a similar difference that has been asked in AO, like or different exams, like the pH. The pH of this is it ranges from, when the pH ranges from 7.5 to 8. Value of pH ranges from 7.5 to 8. We can call the soil as saline, or salinity is more. And when the pH of the soil exceeds 8, 8.0 or more than that, then we can call it as a sodic soil. So again, coming to one more bit into it, like the conductivity or the electrical conductivity is higher than 4 decisiemens per meter, and here the conductivity is less than 4 decisiemens per meter. So this is the basic difference between saline and alkaline soils. And in these saline soils, why these saline soils are formed? We have to understand like why these saline soils are formed and why this alkaline or sodic soil is formed. So saline soil is generally formed due to less evaporation. Okay, it is formed due to more evaporation and less leaching. So what happens is, due to more evaporation and due to less leaching, the salts get accumulated in the soil surface, accumulates in the soil surface. So this enables the or this increases the pH, making the soil unsuitable for cultivation of crops. So these are the two reasons, like more evaporation and less leaching accumulates the salts, different salts like calcium, magnesium, potassium, phosphorus in the soil, and this enables the soil for better cultivation of crops. Now coming to sodic soils. So sodic soils are formed. These are formed due to. So what is the reason behind this? This is formed due to one is like the accumulation, when the accumulation of certain salts and the exchange of salts increases, then the sodium salt concentration becomes dominant or very high. So in sodic soils we find maximum quantity or maximum amount of sodium ions, and the reason is the accumulation and the exchange process of salt increases, and what this does is it increases, or so slowly when the salts get accumulated, replaced again with the soil, the concentration of sodium increases in it. So this is a process in which the sodium accumulation increases and it comes to the sodic soil. So this is the reason behind the formation of saline and sodic soils. So this salinity or saline soils, saline soils is only one of the problems, one of the chemical problems. So there are two or three more problems related to the chemical problems in the soil. So salinity was one of the problems of chemical problems related to soil. So that is one of the problems, salinity soil. And one more problem is the second problem. We can say the second problem is acidic soils. So acidic soils, as we know, acidic soils contribute to about 60 to 65% of land in India. In India, around 60 to 65% are acidic soils, where the pH remains less than 7. Where the pH, it may be highly acidic when the pH goes down, or it may be nearby to neutral, or 6 to 6.5, 5 to 5.56. So this is the range of acidic soils pH. So what happens, and the reason of formation of acidic soils, So let's discuss what is the reason behind the formation of acidic soils. So it is due to maximum rainfall, maximum precipitation or rainfall, okay, maximum leaching of base salts. So the salts like calcium, magnesium, okay, so these salts get leached more, like it gets washed away, maximum leaching or washing away of salts, okay. It decreases the basic salts and automatically the pH gets reduced below 7 when the salts get washed away from the soil due to rainfall or due to maximum irrigation or continuous flooding. So the pH gets decreased, okay, pH gets decreased and the acidic soils are formed. So the problem behind is it causes this is one of the important points that may come in agriculture assistant agriculture officer exam. It causes, as the acidic soils causes the toxicity of aluminium and magnesium, manganese. It causes toxicity of aluminium, manganese and iron. Okay, so this may cause the toxicity of aluminium, manganese and iron, and it decreases the calcium and magnesium content in soils. So all these actions that takes place in the soil, like that aluminium and magnesium, manganese and iron toxicity can be seen observed in the soil due in the acidic soils, and the calcium and magnesium content also decreases in the soil. So now coming, So this is one of the problem. Like acid soil is the second most problem in problem of soils. Like the third one is acidic sulfate soils. So acidic sulfate, the name itself contains the presence of sulfate or sulfide ions. So when water rich in sulfate remains stagnant or due to flooding, okay, flooding conditions, okay, these sulfide ions concentration increases in soils, okay. So due to the accumulation of sulfide ions, it may be due to continuous flooding or water stagnancy, the acidic sulfate soils are formed. So acidic sulfate soils can be reclaimed. So the solution is leaching. Leaching should be increased. So leaching process should be increased, and the drainage should be proper, and drainage system should be proper, and drainage should be increased. Okay. So this is the solution for acid sulfatic soils. And the fourth one, that is the fourth problem is calcareous soils. Calcareous soils. As per your pronunciation, calcareous or calcareous soils. So what is calcareous or calcareous soil? It is the accumulation or concentration increase in CaCO3 of calcium carbonate. This is calcium carbonate. So the increase in calcium carbonate content, or the concentration increase or accumulation, of calcium carbonate. Okay, the calcareous soils, it gets higher due to a high amount of calcium carbonate in the soils increases the forms calcareous soils. That is one of the definite problems or common problems nowadays in different soils. So coming to the chemical problems, so as we learned, like salinity, acidic is the second problem, acidic sulfate soil is the third problem, and calcareous soil is the fourth problem. So these are the problems related to chemical problems related to soil. So there are different remedial measures, like when there is a problem, there is a solution for the particular chemical problems. Okay, so let's discuss about some of the problems related to the chemical problems. If there are, say, if we absorb the chemical problems in the soil, there are also solutions for it. Okay, the solutions for chemical problems, in soils. So what are the solutions? There are different solutions. The first one among it is like leaching. So when we have to focus on leaching, the increasing the leaching content, like how, just by increasing the drainage, okay, drainage system. So when the drainage is increased, or it is good, maximum water gets leached away, so the salts also gets leached away. So this is one of the recommendations or solutions for chemical problems arising in soil. So when the best salts gets washed away, automatically the pH decreases, and the soils can be used for growing of certain crops. Choice of crops. Okay, so this is one of the important factors. Like we can go for cotton in saline soils, because it has a particular tolerance capacity, because of tolerance capacity, salt tolerance capacity, or acidic tolerance capacity. We can go for rice in acidic soils. So choice of crops, leaching and drainage. And one more is, one of the most important factor is mechanical measures. like the timing of mechanical measures. Mechanical measures, like we have to go or maintain the timing of timing of flowing timing of flowing and other fertilizer applications, fertilizer applications. So these are the certain recommendations or solutions for chemical problems in soil. So guys, this is all about the video which is related to physical and chemical problems in the soil and their solutions. And in the part of the video, we'll be discussing about the biological problems in the soil. Till that, keep liking, sharing and subscribing to my videos. And certainly, if any comments or any doubts, please mention it in the comment box. So thank you for watching my video with patience. Keep liking, sharing and subscribing.